Hello, hello, welcome to your daily dose of World of Warships Legends Shenanigans. I am, of course, your host, Phoenix61. Now, before you quit the video, because I've been playing Takahashi way too much, right, recently, I admit it, this video is not about this shit. This is the video. So, occasionally I try not to blame... I say this, but then I still do it, right? I try not to blame other players for the downfall of a game, right? But this is going to be, if you have your typical thing that you hate about destroyer players, right? Your typical thing that you hate about cruiser players, the typical things that you hate about battleship players, right? This is going to be the absolute, all four battleship players on my team collectively decided they didn't want to win this game. Spoiler alert. Despite our best efforts here, you will see we have a pretty good game ourselves. But this is where I highlight this in a lot of my videos, right? Where if you're a battleship player, especially if you're a battleship player, right? This kind of applies to all ships regardless. But you have to think of your hit points, your health, as a resource, right? And what I mean by that is, somebody is always shooting somebody in this game, right? And battleships have the most health, right? So there is some situations where, as a battleship player, you want to be drawing fire to you so that the rest of your teammates can do their jobs as well, right? So that's where I'm gonna get at, and this is going to be the absolute perfect example of why that comes into play in winning games, right? So now you have to be smart about this, right? You can't just oh, I'm a battleship player, I should draw some fire, go plow into the zone, because everyone's gonna focus fire you on the enemy team and you're gonna die, right? So we're in Takahashi. We're doing our normal thing that with how I play this ship, right? I do a full-on torpedo build with this ship, right? Which may not necessarily be the best way to play it, right? But this is the way that I like playing it, and I have fun playing it this way, right? So what ends up happening, right, is that it makes my guns not really that great. And so if I end up not getting a lot of torpedo hits in a game, my game is, pretty mediocre and boring, and or I don't do really well in general, right? So, so we'll do our part here, right? So, typically we kind of gotta maintain a moderate distance. We don't want to get in too close, but we don't want to be too far away. Torpedoes have epic long range and really great reload, so a lot of times you'll see me circling and or weaving so that I can send torpedoes off on both sides of this ship, right? This is just how I've decided that I like playing this ship, right? So we get a torpedo hit on the Navarin, right? This is going to work out great for us, right? This is going really great so far, despite, aside from the fact that we just lost two ships early on here, right? But we're able to, a sort of brawler type battleship has gone full blown into the zone. He's getting picked on, which is what you want to do, right? But just keep checking the mini-map every once in a while. I'll try and remind you, right? But the two battleships on my side, right? We've lost a cruiser and we've lost a destroyer, right? The two battleships on this flank, on the A-cap side over here, both hanging out in the back, right? So this Navarin is looking at this this guy over here, right? He's lost a little bit of health, right? He's drawn some fire, but at the expense, they're so far back that at the expense, we're already down a cruiser and a destroyer, right? And destroyers in particular, super important for helping spot things. And we only had the one, and he's gone now. Right now, some of that's his fault, right? That's not, But we get the kill on the Navarin, right? First kill for the blue team here on the Navarin with our fire, right? And we can tell there's still at least one ship in the A-cap zone because it is getting captured. It's got to be one of those cruisers because their destroyer went through the B-hole, right? So we're going to continue to just kind of pick on what we can and maintain an appropriate distance, right? This is fine for our ship because we've got some things we can shoot at. We don't want to get too in close with the battleship while we're spotted. that kind of stuff, you know, so like, but these two battleships on my flank are completely useless right now. Like the one is behind an island. And then this other one by me, I hardly see him shooting. Like, I'm almost thinking he's just sitting back there, right? Like, so, yeah. And then on the B side, right, they're both tucked back behind the B hole, which has already been captured by the enemies, right? Which has already been capped by the red team. So, I don't know that they have that much that they can shoot at either, right? So, Schonberg shows up, so we will do our duty and do as much work to the Schonberg as we can. Somebody does trip radar to pick him up again, which is awesome. That works out great, perfect. That was a good decision, right? And so, like, this game, like, to me, like, I was like, this is winnable. Like, we're doing this, right? But I just didn't realize how much my battleships, all four, hung back and didn't really contribute too much, right? So both of the B flank battleships, like somebody or both of them should have gone over to the C cap side and helped support over there, right? There's a lone cruiser on my team over there now, just him, right? So that may be where we lost our, you know, our other, another cruiser over there or something, right? But yeah, and so we're gonna continue to just do our zoning torps, sending them in where we suspect players may be going, right? We got kind of close to that cruiser there, but we can shoot him. So we will do that. Like, we've got a decent amount of health left still, right? We've used one heal. The heal's not that great on this ship, but it's fine. It's something's better than nothing kind of situation. All right, like, these torpedoes have such a long range that you almost have to just be sending them constantly and just taking a guess on what players are going to do, right? So we'll continue to do that. But, like, we're, you know, and we can't, this isn't an aggressive ship, right? Like, no matter how you build this thing out, right, you're a cruiser that can take some pretty heavy damage no matter how well you're angled, right? And so we're keeping our distance, trying to keep our targets to kind of at least like a 1 versus 1 situation at this point, right? So we can continue to pick on this cruiser while he's spotted. We're probably the only one spotting him, so it doesn't matter that we're firing our guns, right? I know there's maybe somebody coming around the other side, right? Like, we'll just keep sending our zoning torps as they're loaded. It's kind of how I play this, right? And we're up to 80,000 damage ourselves, right? We're only down one ship. So at this point, I'm like, this is going fine, right? But, like, all four of these battleships, look at each, this guy's got a lot of health, right? All four of them have plenty of health throughout this entire game. So, like, this is where they should be pushing in, and especially this one off to the A flank side. Like, he should have gotten himself turned around and pushing into A and capping this zone and taking some fire, like, minutes ago, right? Like, the game is halfway over now. They've had both of these zones most of the game so far. So yeah, Cleveland isn't even in the area, right? Like, so it's not like that battleship could have been over there, right? Like, so it's like, all right, we'll manage this guy too, all our lonesome, right? So he was kind of broadside, right? So I tend to, like, try and see how the AP does. It's usually really underwhelming here, but we'll send it. And then he's shooting. He did switch to AP on us here, so he gets a good chunk at us, right? And so I'm trying to get torps off, and I'm trying to angle. Yeah, we're doing decent with the AP, but we'll switch back to HE here. 90,000 damage we're up to now. We can get a torp hit. He does have, somebody. Awami B to the rescue, man, right? Fired his guns when there was just a tiny bit left. Didn't mind getting spotted for that, I guess. Right, so now I know the vast majority of my team is either in or, like, through the B cap zone, right? And I'm like, all right, I need to push up, right? We're losing on points. I need to push up, right? I'm hoping that at least one of these three battleships over here by the A flank go into the A cap zone to get it, right? I'm like, but that guy, like, the one is still back behind the island. Like, he's playing. He's moved a little bit here and there, right? It's not like he's disconnected, right? He's playing. I just don't know, even as a newbie player, right? First of all, we're up at tier 8, right? Like, so you really shouldn't be that new. But, like, don't you at least want to be firing your guns? Like, isn't that more fun to have something to shoot at? Like, that's where I was like, and then this Lepanto, like, Lepanto has great secondaries, is a decent close-range fighting ship. Stops. He's full health, and he stops and starts backing up instead of going into the B cap to capture the zone. Like, what do you think the objectives are? I was like, come on, go in the zone. But yeah, so we'll do it all ourselves. We'll go for it ourselves here. This was one of those games I was like, in the moment, I was like, fine, whatever. Because I'm like, if I could pull this off, it'll make for a great replay, right? Like, if I could pull off this win with these... This is what makes for good replays, right? You have to have bad players on your own team as well. Because otherwise, the XP scores and everyone is all like even split. Everyone does their job, and your damage and XP are just kind of like meh. Like, they're fine, right? Like, they're average because everybody has like split the difference on what they've done. But okay, so we at least got... I'm capping the zone. Lepanto followed me in. I guess he just didn't want to go first. I don't know. We get another assist there, so that's helping hand, right? 5 assists there. I guess some people only shoot when the enemy is almost dead. I don't know. And then they're getting the A-cap zone, and we're up on ships now. I'm like, we got this. This is where I was like, I got 4 battleship players that are trying to lose. This is where it happens. This is right here. All right, so sending torps, right? Baltimore, like, this looks good, right? We're making good decisions. We're dumping torpedoes in the direction that we think the enemies are. This is how we play this ship, right? So, and then we're kind of tucked behind this island, so I was like, oh, maybe I can get some shots on this Baltimore. Nope, I was the only one spotting him, right? So, yeah, sounds about right for the blue team. Like, there's only 3 ships left. We got to push. We're still down on points, right? But we'll start catching up, but now it's a time thing. Now there's only 3 minutes left. And so, right, so Lepanto just took a shot at somebody else, so we know he's going to have to load here before he's going to be able to shoot at us, so we can pull out. But this is what I was saying, like, right, so this is another Lepanto, right, on the red team. He's got secondaries reaching out to us. We got both of these ships, right, this Michelangelo and the Baltimore, super low on health. I'm like, I can do it. I can get rid of one of these guys, right? But these guys, these last 3 red guys on this team, all right, these last 2 red guys on this team, another stole, like, right, that's my 6th a fisted medal, right? We take a bad hit from Lepanto. I'm like, at this point, like, I gotta do something, right? So I gotta be out there trying to get these shots off, right? So we could hold off on firing our guns here and try and go undetected, but I'm like, I need to like trip a fire or something so that I can trip him to use damage con, right? We're taking the chance here at this point because we're still down almost 200 points and 2 minutes left now, right? So it's gonna be an issue. And I've got 4 battleships still trying to push, like, come up and actually get into the fight. Like, they're still not in the fight, you know? That Baltimore is doing the smart thing, right? The Baltimore on the red team, he's leaving, right? He sees that they're up on points, and he's just going to kite away, right? Like, that's the smart thing to do, right? Like, you look at points, you look at how much time's left, there's no way this blue team's catching up on points. I'm like, somebody's got to kill this Lepanto. I'm sending all the torps I can, but I don't have the health pool to, like, charge him, right? I'm also a cruiser. It's not the smartest to charge at battleships, right? Like, if I was up there and around the corner at this point, you know, I could maybe get rid of him with torpedoes by sneaking around an island, right? But, like, I potentially would lose my own ship at that point, too, right? So we'll keep sending torps. We'll keep sending fireball bullets at him, right? 127,000 damage here. I don't know. I'm not sure why or how that Baltimore gets spotted there. Like, I would have just been kept going away. I mean, there's always the temptation of, like, I can get away with shooting something, right? Like, I do it too and risk the loss here. But there's just not enough time, right? Less than a minute here, down on points. 4 battleships on my team, very healthy. Like, right, they're all at least 3/4 health. This one off to the very far left is full, right? So this is where I'm like, you know, especially if you get halfway through the game, your battleship, and you're still full on health, like, you need to put yourself in a little bit of trouble to at least draw some fire. You're right. Don't go broadside. Don't, you know, keep your senses heightened for destroyers and torpedoes, and you're like, do the things you normally would do. and maybe make it so that like one ship can shoot at you and, you know, and draw some fire to help keep the rest of your team alive. All right. So he had plenty of health and he managed to get himself killed. Right. So now we're down even more on points. So yeah, the only way to win that at that point would have been to kill them both. Right. But we'll take a quick peek at the leaderboard here. I won't go through the commander build and stuff on this video just because you know, I've done that quite a bit here. But yeah, 1900 XP, right? So that would have, you know, if we were winning team, you know, that'd put us, you know, close to 4,000-ish or so. You know, it's like a 1.5 multiplier, right? So like, yeah, like we are 3,000-ish, you know, some, you know, we'd be up there, right? Like that'd be an awesome score. XP, but yeah, I just was like, here's one not to do, you know, here's how not to play, guys, right? Thanks for watching. Make sure you're following the channel. We will see you guys next time.